simple constitution test from Lu Xing caused the entire star region to roar, and the commotion even awakened a mysterious powerhouse in a distant star region. Just moments ago, Lu Xing tested as a 9-star blazing sun level, shocking the entire audience. However, this result did not satisfy Lu Xing, so he activated the divine illumination of the Underworld King scripture in his immortal cells to continue pushing. He refused to believe that the star disk wouldn't upgrade him under this barrage. Again. Even as Lu Xing's power surged, the star disk above remained at the 9-star blazing sun level. Damn it, this is infuriating. Lu Xing was furious. Damn it all, I've already powered up so much my clothes have exploded, and you still won't budge? With that, Lu Xing increased his power once more. Keep going. The next moment, unable to withstand the force, the star disk was actually cracked by Lu Xing's kick. The fractures spread rapidly, and finally, the entire disk crashed to the ground like a meteorite. Meanwhile, at Count Sith's mansion, yellow hair trembled as he looked at his own negative news. He had planned to go and suck up to Lan Che, but now he didn't even dare to leave his room. Just then, a bright light outside caught his attention. At his level, he had no idea what the pillar of fire shooting into the sky was. In the next room, a girl with red hair, who was busy with an online romance, stopped typing, stunned by the scene outside her window. She had never seen such a celestial phenomenon in the Yamu star region. The invisible ripple spread far wider than anyone could have imagined, crossing an unknown number of light years through the dark and silent starry sky. At this moment, whether on prosperous and advanced high civilization planets, backward and barbaric low civilization planets, or uninhabited garden planets, every living species in the entire Yamu star region was swept by this ripple, and an inexplicable throbbing echoed in their hearts. Without any reason, there was joy, a joy from the bottom of their hearts. Even those who were deeply sad a moment ago were now moved to tears of joy. The vast majority of people did not understand why, but they could clearly feel that this starry sky was cheering for the appearance and birth of a great existence. The starry sky sang, a chorus of celebration. The first to break the silence was the chief enforcer of the Yamu star region, Immortal. Immortal level. An immortal level bloodline has been born in my Yamu star region. The old man was incredibly excited at this moment. This world-shaking phenomenon was a sign of the legendary immortal level. My Yamu star region will once again see supreme glory. Ha ha ha. With that, he couldn't wait any longer, bursting through a window and flying at full speed toward Lu Xing's location. After the star disk fell, the celestial body, which was initially the size of a planet, had now shrunk to the size of a basketball court. The group, led by Lan Che, was still in a state of confusion, completely bewildered by what was happening. Only the dean was shouting from the side, This is a supreme power. For tens of thousands of years, the great trend of this starry sky has revolved around him. I remember now, the ancient prophecy of the Starfall Fate Disk. Hearing this, Lan Che stepped forward to speak. He had heard his father mention it before. When the legendary immortal bloodline descends, the center of the Starfall Fate Disk will ignite with a light that shakes the cosmos. Incredible spectacles will appear, and the starry sky will celebrate in unison. And now, the prophecy had come true. The legend was unfolding before their eyes. They had personally witnessed the legend beyond the blazing sun. It was the immortal, the supreme immortal bloodline. Looking at the spectacular scene, Lu Xing hadn't expected it to end like this. However, the first thing he did was pull his phone out from his pants. A wondrous sight like this, of course, called for a selfie to send to his wife, Dong Qingxue. Meanwhile, in an extremely distant star region, someone was watching everything that had just happened. A figure seated on a starry throne slowly opened his eyes. Another bloodline above the immortal level has appeared. It seems my celestial serpent star system will welcome an unprecedented era of prosperity in this epoch. He was about to reach out and summon Lu Xing over, but then he reconsidered. Lu Xing's current strength was too low. Bringing him over now carried the risk of premature death. It would be better to let him train and grow for a while longer in the lower realms before summoning him. With that, the man returned to his slumber. Due to the recent commotion, the star region now knew that a monstrous genius had been born. Some powerful families were even thinking of finding him. If they could get him to marry into their family. No. If they could just send their daughters to him, even latching onto a single hair on his leg would ensure their family's eternal prosperity. Afterward, on a level 13 spaceship, Thal sat bolt upright, but a stampede of 1,000 frustrations was running through his mind. Holy crap, what kind of monster is this? Although he knew from the start that Lu Xing would be exceptional, he never expected him to be a monster of this unheard of caliber. The Son of God from the prophecy. Had he actually found the Son of God? Seeing Thal's panic, Lu Xing spoke first to ease the atmosphere. Actually, that last bit was the limit of the Starfall Fate Disk, not my limit. Hearing this, Thal became even more panicked and speechless. Was this guy even human? Afterward, Lu Xing and Thal walked into the Yamu Star Region's Federal Supreme Council building, where the speaker had prepared a banquet of the highest level for Lu Xing. Watching Lu Xing slowly walk in, even the elderly speaker was so excited he became nervous and tongue-tied. He walked up and grasped Lu Xing's hands, sighing repeatedly. A true hero emerges from the young. The two most powerful figures in the Star Region were now treating Lu Xing with the reverence one would show an ancestor. Seeing this, a smile crept onto Thal's lips. After all, he was the one who had brought this immortal level level transcendent being, Lu Sheng, over from the White Mist Star region. Everyone has one or two moments in their life when Lady Luck smiles upon them. What we must do is seize that luck firmly when it arrives. Dear grandmother, this time I not only grabbed Lady Luck's hand, but I also gave her a fierce hug. This is the greatest fortune of my life. Even winning the grand prize in the interstellar lottery wouldn't be 1/10,000th as good as this. After a long and fumbling chat, the old man finally remembered to introduce himself as Pavlov Sebastian, the speaker of the Yamu Star region's federal council, and the beautiful blonde woman next to him was the chief enforcer of the Yamu Star region, Ekli Thea. The old man clenched his fist, deep in thought. After tonight, this name would probably spread throughout the entire Yamu Star region. Even in the distant future, the cosmic universe would be shaken by these two words. Lu Sheng had to force a smile. Is it really that big of a deal? Ekli stated, centered on our Yamu Star region, we radiate out to a total of 13 surrounding star regions. In the nearly 1 million years since the Star Region Federation was established, across trillions of life-bearing planets, there has never been an immortal level transcendent being. It's no exaggeration to say that you are the #1 genius in this part of the starry sky in a million years, an unprecedented #1 genius. Lu Sheng was very puzzled. 13 star regions, trillions of life-bearing planets, but only he had emerged as an immortal level transcendent. But then again, it made sense. After all, his stellar sovereign body had reached the 15th or even 16th level. How many 15th or 16th level experts could there be in a single star region? It was reasonable for him to be the sole one in over a dozen star regions in a million years. The old man stated, normally, if an immortal level being is born in a star region, the Lord of the Star System will definitely send someone to inspect. He believed Lu Sheng had a chance to become his disciple and receive his inheritance. However, before the Star System Lord sent someone, their Yamu Star region would fully support Lu Sheng's cultivation. Oh boy, full support. Hearing this, Lu Sheng was delighted. The old man nodded affirmatively. Although Lu Sheng was immortal level, he was currently only at the 9th level. The resources of an entire star region should be more than enough to support one person. Just then, Lu Sheng smiled. Does this mean I can make any request I want? At his words, the old man's hair turned white from shock. He said Lu Sheng could state his request first, and they would do their best to fulfill it if possible. It's over, he thought. Now that I've said that, I'm terrified Lu Sheng will make an outrageous demand. However, Lu Sheng waved his hand, indicating that he didn't want cultivation resources, but rather a sufficiently large life-bearing planet to settle his compatriots from his home world. The old man looked at Ekli awkwardly. He had braced himself to make a huge sacrifice, and this was all Lu Sheng asked for. Thao, standing behind him, was moved by Lu Sheng's actions. He hadn't expected Lu Sheng to be so concerned about his backward home planet. Perhaps this was the reason Lu Sheng was able to rise so far. The unique educational system of the Dragon Nation truly made it a mysterious country. There is no day or night in the starry sky, but the habits passed down by the human race over millions of years still use a method of measuring interstellar time. 1 unit of interstellar time is roughly equivalent to 3 days on the Azure planet. As this interstellar day was about to end, a grand banquet was being prepared with great urgency. If not for the fact that everyone had felt the spectacular phenomenon of the entire starry sky celebrating, no one would have believed in the birth of an immortal level being. Now, countless aircraft shuttled between the main star and its 10 satellites, creating a cosmic version of bustling traffic. Guests arrived in droves, all for a glimpse of the creator of this spectacle. Yellow Hair, who had been a shut-in for many days, also brought his sister, Xiao Qiao, to the banquet hall. Although they arrived early, the hall was already packed with people. The first immortal level in the history of the Yamu Star region. The news hasn't fully spread yet. If it had a few more days, the scale could be 100 times larger. The entire Yamu Star region might not be able to hold everyone. With that, he told his sister, Xiao Qiao, to wait for that person to appear and to try every means possible to win his friendship. However, Xiao Qiao felt a little insecure. With that lord probably wouldn't even look at me. Yellow Hair grabbed Xiao Qiao's hand and roared with confidence, you must, with your beauty, unless that immortal level genius doesn't like women. With that, Yellow Hair patted his own perky butt and gave a wicked smile. If he doesn't like women, that's fine too. Hee. Just then, 2 men walked over and mocked Yellow Hair. This pig-riding knight. Yellow Hair was furious, but he couldn't retort, so he just told his sister to leave with him. But then he realized his sister had vanished in an instant. Even Xiao Qiao is disgusted with me. Damn it. I must find that person and make him declare loudly in front of the entire Yamu Star region. I, Milton Sith, do not have strange fetishes. I am not a pig-riding knight. The 2 men behind him were overjoyed seeing the enraged Yellow Hair. Let's spread the word about Milton's affair a bit more. He's already finished. His sister Xiao Qiao might be a competitor for us, though. As for whether Milton is a pig-riding knight, it doesn't matter, as long as this is useful to us. Just then, Yellow Hair saw Lan Che walking out and prepared to strike up a conversation. Even if he couldn't befriend the Great Lord, befriending Lan Che was an excellent choice. This was his chance. But the most important thing right now was to find Xiao Qiao. He needed his sister to make the introduction. At that moment, he saw his sister happily chatting with someone else, which made him furious. Isn't he that low-level life form? Which infuriated him, and he was about to go and teach that brat Lu Sheng a lesson. You reckless fool, how dare you cling to her on such an important occasion. With that, he moved to thrash Lu Sheng. At that moment, Xiao Qiao spotted her brother approaching and said excitedly, "Brother, look who I ran into. Lu Sheng is here too." Yellow Hair glared at Lu Sheng, his eyes filled with contempt. "Did you sneak into this event by clinging to Foul? It seems you didn't take my warning to heart at all. I'll say it again, get lost now, otherwise, you and your lowly home planet." As he was in the middle of his tirade, a man's greeting sounded from behind him. Yellow Hair thought it was for him and turned around in confusion, but the next moment he was stunned. Wasn't this the very Lan Che he had wanted to curry favor with? Lord Lan Che was actually greeting him. Excitement, pure excitement. Yellow Hair was overjoyed, and he scurried forward, apologizing for his oversight while obsequiously introducing himself. However, Lan Che sternly warned Yellow Hair not to block his way. Hearing this, Yellow Hair was dumbfounded. So Lan Che wasn't here to see him? Before Yellow Hair could process it, Lan Che shoved him aside. "Don't block me from talking to Mr. Lu, you bloody idiot." Yellow Hair's mind went blank. He watched as Lan Che walked straight and amicably towards Lu Sheng. "Lord Lu Sheng, your immortal level bloodline is an extremely rare existence even in the main star region of the celestial serpent star system." With that, Lan Che pulled a golden card from his pants and handed it to Lu Sheng, stating that the Yamo star region likely wouldn't be able to accommodate Lu Sheng for long. He invited Lu Sheng to be a guest at the Lan family estate when he came to the main star region, and this card was a formal invitation to Lu Sheng on behalf of his father, Marquis Lan Noir. Hearing Lan Che mention the immortal bloodline, the crowd's jaws dropped wide enough to swallow a mountain. They never imagined that the immortal level genius they had been trying so hard to find was such an unassuming young man, and even the Lan Che family had to formally invite him on behalf of their entire family, intending to win him over, even respectfully addressing him as Lord. This meant that their families also had to establish friendly relations early, or they wouldn't even be able to get close later. With that, a large crowd of people swarmed and surrounded Lu Sheng. Although Lu Sheng was used to such scenes, he couldn't help but be startled every time. Watching the chaotic scene before him, Yellow Hair was terrified. The person he had always looked down on, the other man he believed was repeatedly and deliberately approaching Xiao Qiao in an attempt to climb the social ladder of the Sith family, was actually the true guest of honor at tonight's celebration, the legendary, mysterious immortal level bloodline, the super genius who appears once in a million years in the Yamu Star region. At this thought, Yellow Hair was heartbroken, foamed at the mouth, and fainted. Not only had he failed to make a connection, but he had also offended him twice. It was over. If his family found out, he would be completely finished. As the crowd grew larger, Xiao Qiao was forcefully squeezed away from Lu Sheng's side. She was too shocked to believe it. Was Lu Sheng the genius who caused the celestial phenomenon that day? Besieged by the crowd, Lu Sheng indicated that Lan Che's proposal was considerable, but first, Lan Che had to help him deal with this surrounding mob. Meanwhile, on the other side, the two brothers from the White Mist Star region, who had been imprisoned for a long time, were finally released. Having not seen sunlight for so long, the dazzling sun blinded their titanium alloy eyes. A law enforcer beside them stated that their spaceship was docked at the port, and they could leave the Yamu Star region once they had their credentials. Xiao Lin reached out to take the document and said thank you, but the next moment Lan Chen roared at him, "I think you've been kneeling for so long you've forgotten who you are. They locked us up for so long, and you're saying thank you?" But Xiao Lin said that he had a great time during this period. Apart from not being able to use communication devices, he was given whatever he wanted. Hearing this, Lan Chen was stunned. What the hell? Xiao Lin actually received the highest treatment in the detention room? Faced with Xiao Lin's question, Lan Chen could only awkwardly say that he also received the highest treatment, but it was the highest treatment for a felon. They interrogated him about Lu Sheng every day. The mere thought of that spiked club was terrifying. "This isn't over. When I get back, I'm going to make this public." But Xiao Lin told him to let it go. Since they were released, it meant everything was settled. There was no need to dwell on meaningless things. It was good enough to be alive. But how could Lan Chen be willing to act as if nothing had happened? After all, a super genius who was at least a radiant moon level, and possibly even a blazing sun level, had been snatched away from them. Xiao Lin told him to look on the bright side. What if Lu Sheng's talent wasn't as outstanding as they imagined? After all, the blazing sun level wasn't so easy to achieve. Lan Chen was about to argue when he was interrupted by a news broadcast from the sky. The crowd behind them was buzzing. "My god, that immortal level master is only 20 years old. So young. Let's go see what he looks like." Hearing this, Lan Chen and his companion were stunned. Immortal level? What immortal level? Lan Chen had never heard of such a level. Xiao Lin explained that it was a legend of legends, a terrifying bloodline with a 1 in a trillion chance of appearing, only ever born in the main celestial serpent star region. But amidst their shock, the two suddenly realized something. 20 years old. It couldn't be such a coincidence, could it? The next moment, the sky broadcast continued, a warm celebration for the birth of an immortal level transcendent constitution in our Yamu Star region, a genius seen once in a million years. With that, a screen lit up in front of the spaceship. The next second, Lan Chen's jaw dropped wide enough to fit a feast, because the person who appeared on the screen was none other than the Lu Sheng he knew. He was the immortal level super genius. Of course, this news also also spread rapidly throughout the White Mist Star region. Schiller, the recently fired law enforcement officer from the White Mist Star region, was dejectedly leaving his post. An old woman explained to a motionless man, "You haven't heard? He was derelict in his duty this time, causing our White Mist Star region to lose an exceptionally talented martial arts genius." Chief Enforcer Lennon was furious. The man was shocked. What level of genius was it to cause even the peak level 11 Lord Schiller to lose his position? Hearing the discussions about him, Schiller gritted his teeth in anger. He furiously cursed that bastard foul. It was his trickery that had cost him everything. Damn it, who would have thought that a guy who looks so honest could be so scheming? Although I was careless, doesn't he bear even 1% of the blame? Seeing Schiller's rapidly changing emotions, the people around him thought he was going through menopause and that it was time for him to retire. After an internal struggle, Schiller let it go. Retirement it was. He hadn't had a break in a long time. He had just bought a garden planet, and this was a perfect opportunity to take his wife and kids on vacation. He had heard that on that garden planet, there were waterfalls of syrup, lakes of scallion oil noodles, skewers of lamb grew from the ground, and draft beer fruits hung from the trees. Just as he was lost in his wonderful travel plans, an emergency broadcast from the Chief Enforcer suddenly appeared in the sky. The Chief Enforcer roared, "Level 11 Law Enforcer Schiller, due to dereliction of duty, has made an unforgivable and grave error in his work, causing an immeasurable and huge loss to our White Mist Star region. The circumstances are severe, the crime unpardonable. The punishments are as follows: 1. Lifelong revocation of his noble status. 2. Stripped of his position as a level 11 law enforcer. 3. Demoted to guard the level 8 battlefield star for 3,000 years. The next moment, the book in Schiller's hand fell to the ground. He fell to his knees in a daze, crying and asking why. Demoted for 3,000 years. All I did was let one person go? Is it that serious? The pain, it was too much. Schiller broke down in agony. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lu Sheng, with access to all sorts of cultivation resources, had grown even stronger. An unlimited supply of all necessary cultivation resources, a full set of Viscount nobility, level 11 weapons and equipment, and the latest model of a private spaceship. Was this what it felt like to be the darling of the Star region? It felt amazing, with the resources of an entire Star region at his disposal. As long as his requests weren't too outrageous, Lu Sheng could get almost anything he wanted. Now, he didn't have to worry about cultivation resources at all. And when he first left the Azure planet, he had wanted to work hard to save money to buy a few life-bearing planets. He never thought that in the blink of an eye, he would already own an entire star system. I'll pick a few good life-bearing planets, give one to each major province of the Dragon Nation, and the other countries can just squeeze onto one planet. Hee. And now, he didn't need to be sneaky to teach Milton a lesson. He could just slap him a few times right in front of his dad, and his dad would probably clap and praise him for doing a good job. He wondered how his parents would react when they heard the news. Just then, a pair of delicate, milky-scented feet pattered in. A maid announced that the planet-class spaceships Lu Sheng had requested had all arrived. Hearing this, Lu Sheng immediately got up to take a look. He was quite curious about these ships that could accommodate the entire population of a planet. However, the maid had another issue. The ships couldn't depart yet. Because the Azure planet belonged to the White Mist Star region, they were currently trying to resolve the issue. It seemed they would have to wait a while longer before they could set off. Just then, Dong Qingxue suddenly made a video call. She frantically explained that the Azure planet was in big trouble. After the call of several minutes ended, Father Lu and Mother Lu couldn't help but ask Dong Qingxue about the situation and when Lu Sheng would be back. Unexpectedly, Father Lu chided her for her ignorance. "Old woman, are you silly? Our son went to the universe. Do you know how big the universe is? You think it's like going to the vegetable market? A 10-minute round trip? It's not that easy. Don't worry needlessly." Dong Qingxue said that Lu Sheng was doing well there and had already become a Viscount. With that, Dong Qingxue decided to go for a walk, as she hadn't told them the whole truth. Lu Sheng had just said that he was very far away and couldn't come back immediately. Just then, a dark, shapely rear blocked her path. It was Lin Jingyue. She also asked Dong Qingxue about Lu Sheng's situation. She did not hide anything from Lin Jingyue. According to Lu Sheng, he would be back as soon as possible, and he also said he would help them solve the problem through other channels. Lin Jingyue sighed. "In the end, it's because our strength is too weak. As a low-level civilization star, we only have the right to be exploited and oppressed." The previous guider named Lan Chen was quite easy to talk to. Now a new one has suddenly come, and even though we've already paid the resources, he's demanding we hand over another share, hundreds of times the previous amount. He must be trying to line his own pockets. Dong Qingxue asked if they could gather such an amount. Lin Jingyue stated they could not. It's like trying to supply a clothing factory by shearing a single sheep. It's an impossible task. Even if we put all our assets together, it wouldn't even be half. The weak are truly bullied, just as a weak horse is ridden by all. If they weren't absolutely forced, they would have preferred to solve this problem without relying on Lu Sheng's power. But given Lu Sheng's temperament, he would definitely fight with that guider when he returned. A single guider would be easy to deal with, but they feared he might have brought an entire star fleet with him this time. Lu Sheng's martial arts talent is astonishing, and he is destined for a great future. If we cause him to provoke a powerful enemy and obstruct his martial path, then we old bones from the Azure Azure planet would truly be unforgivable. Dong Qingxue said that she didn't know much about Lu Xing's situation in the universe, only something about being a Viscount and having just bought a spaceship to pick them up. She didn't really understand what level that was at. He just told me not to worry, that he has the ability to solve it. On the other side, after learning about the matter, Lu Xing immediately went to the speaker's office. He felt a bit embarrassed about it. The speaker was in charge of trillions of planets, big and small, and asking him to personally handle such a trivial matter was like someone having a chicken stolen from their yard and going directly to the emperor, an emperor of another country, at that, to seek justice. Seeing that the speaker hadn't spoken, Lu Xing turned to the beautiful chief enforcer next to him to see if she had a better solution. The chief enforcer stated, "The Azure planet is ultimately a resource planet under the jurisdiction of the White Mist Star region, so our Yamo Star region's forces cannot directly intervene. However, it's simple enough. I just need to contact some of the interstellar nobles around Lu Xing's home star system. I believe with their capabilities, resolving a small issue with the resources department will be no problem at all." Lu Xing expressed his gratitude to the chief enforcer. The chief enforcer said it was a small matter and he was welcome. As for her, she had one more thing to ask of Lu Xing. Lu Xing told her to speak freely. "I will not shirk any matter within my abilities. She's not going to ask me to make a baby with her, is she?" After all, the Yamo Star region had given him a lot of benefits during his time there, not to mention other things. Just the White Hole Explorer spaceship was worth billions of black crystal coins, and that was just the material cost, not the retail price. The other miscellaneous cultivation resources were countless. Lu Xing felt embarrassed taking so much. This time, they were also helping to solve the problem back home. If he didn't do something for the Yamo Star region, he would feel uneasy. Just then, the speaker spoke up. "Lu Xing, are you interested in participating in a competition to spar and exchange with geniuses from other star regions to improve your martial arts skills?" Lu Xing didn't understand the specifics of this. The speaker stood up and explained that he, on behalf of the Yamo Star region, would jointly organize a large-scale, cross-star region martial arts genius exchange competition with the 13 surrounding star regions. At that time, all the super geniuses from different civilizations and races of the 13 star regions would be brought over. The speaker intended for all of them to be Lu Xing's training partners. "To go to such great lengths just to find me training partners. This is really the great stage of the cosmos. Come if you've got the guts. A clash of 10,000 races, a collision of prodigies, the chance to personally test the skills of these cosmic-level geniuses from different star regions and races filled Lu Xing with infinite anticipation." Lu Xing said, "Okay," and asked when it would start. The speaker told Lu Xing not to be hasty. After all, this was just an idea of his. He still had to ask the other star regions if they agreed, and the specifics of who would participate were still under discussion. More importantly, it depended on Lu Xing himself. He told Lu Xing that the only thing he needed to do now was to constantly cultivate, and become stronger. Although the immortal level bloodline was powerful, Lu Xing's power level was still a bit low. The chief enforcer also chimed in, stating that other star regions definitely wouldn't have immortal level geniuses, but there would still be some radiant moon and blazing sun level geniuses from over a dozen star regions. Level 12 experts wouldn't participate, but there would be no shortage of level 11 ones. She told Lu Xing not to just be excited. Although the goal was to bring people over to be his training partners, and winning or losing didn't matter. After all, Lu Xing's future was millions of times greater than all of theirs. They still hoped that this unprecedented cross-star region top-tier genius martial arts tournament would be a battle of prestige, showcasing the might of the immortal level bloodline and displaying the power of their Yamo Star region. Hearing this, Lu Xing scoffed. "Are they all just level 11 opponents? I need at least some level 12 martial arts geniuses, otherwise there's not enough pressure." As soon as he said this, the speaker and the chief enforcer were shocked. "Isn't Lu Xing only at the 9th level? What? He can fight at 12th level now." Meanwhile, on Hailing Island on the Azure planet, a guider was leisurely sunbathing on the beach. He was excitedly telling his friend Mars how much profit he had made on this trip. 100,000, at least 100,000, and in black crystal coins. Hearing this, Mars was incredibly envious. The fat man laughed heartily. He, "You have no idea how rich this low-level resource planet is. My predecessor as guider was a real fool. Every time he came to collect resources, he would only collect the amount the boss told him to. Isn't that just plain stupid? But it's good for me. If you weren't a fool, I wouldn't have gotten this opportunity. A few more trips here, and it won't be long before I can save up enough to buy a house, a spaceship, and the betrothal gift to marry Marina. It seems you can't escape saving up for a betrothal gift anywhere." He felt that all those gifts he had given before were truly worth it. He was transferred to the resources department, where the pickings were plentiful. He made back the money for the gifts in just one trip. Seeing this, his friend Mars became envious. Although running around at the grassroots level was tough, he saw that the fat man was receiving the highest treatment and service on every resource planet, enjoying the beautiful scenery of different worlds, not to mention the beautiful women and delicious food. He was thinking of getting a transfer to the resources department as well. The fat man said that wasn't always the case. There were places with great profits and places that were complete backwaters. stars. For example, the Azure planet number A28462, where he was now looked ordinary, and its martial arts civilization was only 300 years old. But who would have thought that their exploration of the planet's energy crystal veins had reached 90%? This planet alone has provided me with a good 10,000 black crystal coins. Mars was shocked by this number and warned the fat man to be careful not to mess up in a simple situation. With such a rich output of energy crystals, there must be many strong experts. If he pushed them too far, they might even kill him. But the fat man said he was very cautious. He had already investigated. The highest level on the Azure planet was only 9th level, and there were fewer than 100 of them. As for the civilization's heritage, he found it strange. The foundational martial arts heritage seemed quite advanced, but the top-tier martial arts heritage was very backward. It was probably because a genius called the God of War had emerged from this planet and ventured into the stars. He guessed that the advanced foundational heritage was bought from outside and spread. Since low-level things are cheap, Mars warned him to be careful, as geniuses from indigenous civilizations who could venture into the stars were not to be underestimated. But the fat man still acted unafraid, because he had found out that this planet hadn't even been approved for a 10th level martial arts qualification license, meaning no martial artist above the 10th level had ever been born there. He could take on as many 9th level opponents as came his way. Since he had said this much, Mars didn't say any more, but just told him that something big had recently happened in the neighboring Yamu star region. They had produced a super genius with an immortal level transcendent constitution, causing a sensation in all the star regions. Hearing immortal level, the fat man didn't react at first, but the next moment he jumped up. Holy crap, is this the legendary immortal level? Mars on the other end sighed and told the fat man to look it up himself. Originally, that genius was from our White Mist star region, but due to the negligence of a certain law enforcer, he was secretly snatched away by the Yamu star region. That law enforcer ended up being exiled to a battlefield star for 3,000 years. The fat man lamented that the Yamu star region's methods were truly impressive. No wonder the nobles in the main star region were all going crazy, screening for talent on the low-level civilization planets in their territories. It had become a unique trend. So, Mars's final advice was for the fat man not to go too far on the low-level planets, lest he provoke a monstrous genius and get into trouble he couldn't handle. The fat man thought it was impossible for him to provoke such a monster, as his current 2837 star cluster was basically the suburbs of the suburbs. Hearing this, Mars was startled, because he had found that the monstrous genius seemed to be in this very star cluster. With that, the fat man was terrified. Are you messing with me? This is just fear-mongering. Even if he is in the 2837 star cluster, there are tens of millions of life-bearing planets in there. The probability is like 1 in a billion. If I run into him, I'll do a handstand, take a dump, and drink it on the spot. Looking at his greasy, fat body, he quickly asked the fat man to pack some delicious food for him to take back. After the call ended, the fat man was shocked. So there really is such a thing as an immortal level talent constitution in this world? The number 1 genius in the 13 regions in a million years. But to think he is actually quite close to me right now. But he felt it couldn't possibly be this Azure planet. Forget it, I won't think about it. How could I be so unlucky? It's just baseless worry. By the way, speaking of the deadline I gave them last time, there are less than 2 days left, right? Why haven't these guys made a move? It's time to remind them. With that, the fat man's size 48 pig trotter leaped up, and a burst of energy erupted around him. In just a moment, the fat man appeared behind Cumberland, scaring him so much he lost the urge to defecate. He was about to bow and greet the fat man. The next moment, feeling the fat man's power, the other martial saints also arrived and knelt down to pay their respects to the fat man. The fat man impatiently roared, asking if the task he had previously assigned had been completed. Hearing this, Cumberland stammered, unable to say a word. Then with a swish, he took out several barrels of energy crystal from his spatial ring. The fat man grunted an aha, and after a rough calculation, he flew into a rage the next second, kicking the energy crystal barrels away. Idiots! All of you are idiots. Just this much? Are you kidding me? Is this the result of all your efforts during this time? Are you trying to get rid of me like a beggar? As he spoke, a powerful energy swirled around the fat man, and the sky changed with it. This scene terrified the martial saints, who all fell to their knees and begged for mercy. Just then, a pair of high-heeled, elegant feet stepped out. It was the still graceful Lin Jingyue. Lin Jingyue explained that they were only a level 1 resource planet and simply couldn't produce that much. Moreover, they had recently submitted a surplus of resources. With that, she bowed to the guider in apology. This is all we can offer. However, the damn fat man showed no understanding at all, instead pressing on aggressively. You want me to be considerate? Then who'll be considerate to me? Huh. He had heard from others that the purple-haired woman before him was a loyal follower of that god of war, and a troublemaker at that. When he had previously raised the quota to 300 times, it was this woman who had the most to say. Immediately, a sinister smile appeared on the fat man's face. In that case, he would make an example of this woman to warn the others. The next moment, the fat man disappeared from his spot before the shocked eyes of the crowd, and in the next instant, he reappeared in front of Lin Jingyue, grabbing her by the neck with one hand. I say, little lady, do you enjoy being the one to stick your neck out so much? Caught in his large hand, Lin Jingyue coughed in incessantly but couldn't break free. As the fat man's body slowly rose into the air, the crowd in front of him pleaded for him to show mercy. Hearing this, the fat man became even more furious and retorted, "Do you all want to die with her?" Under this powerful and terrifying pressure, Cumberland and the others were scared into silence. If Lin Jingyue were to be killed just like that, they would have a hard time explaining it when Lu Sheng returned. The fat man continued to roar loudly, "I'll give you 5 more days. If you still can't gather the energy crystal quota I need after 5 days, then you can all prepare for the same fate as her." With that, the fat man began to squeeze his hand. Lin Jingyue spat out blood and was on the verge of death. But just at this critical moment, a voice shouted from the sky, "Stop." As soon as the voice fell, the fat man's right hand was cleanly severed. The one-armed fat man screamed in pain and cursed, "Which son of a bitch dares to sneak attack me?" Just as he was about to make a move, he saw a huge spaceship appear in the sky, many times larger than the one he flew. The next moment, he was even more bewildered. It wasn't just one. He didn't understand what was happening, why so many fleets had suddenly appeared. Could it be that some great figure from the sky was coming? Soon, he recognized the emblem on the spaceship as the Black Dragon crest, which meant this group belonged to the Black Dragon Mountain family. The fat man couldn't figure it out. That was one of the top powers in the White Mist Star region. Why were so many Black Dragon Mountain fleets suddenly here? What was the difference between this and a top noble suddenly appearing in a countryside thatched hut? Before he could think further, another voice rang out from above the warship, "Kneel." A powerful pressure accompanied the voice, forcing the fat man to his knees. This time, the fat man was truly scared. No matter what was happening, his first priority was to apologize and save his life. The next moment, a pair of size 49 Hong Kong feet appeared before him, and a voice asked, "You are the newly appointed guider in charge of resource collection for Azure Planet 828462. This man, holding a long spear, was Count Luo Feng of Black Dragon Mountain. The fat man was so scared he nearly wet himself, and he quickly replied, "Yes." Hearing this, Luo Feng's eyes grew sharp. "Then there's no mistake. As a guider, you've abused your power for personal gain, lined your own pockets, and even tried to act tyrannically on the home planet of the immortal Count. 1,000 deaths would not be enough to atone for your sins." Hearing this, the fat man's diapers became soaked. "The immortal Count's home planet? Respected Count Luo Feng, this must be a misunderstanding. You must be mistaken. I have never done the things you mentioned. I admit to abusing my power for personal gain and lining my own pockets. But when did I ever act tyrannically on the immortal Count's home planet? I wouldn't dare even if you gave me 10,000 guts. I was just trying to skim some benefits from this insignificant little resource planet." Luo Feng's voice was stern and heavy. "Aren't you doing it right now? And you still dare to say I've misunderstood you?" Now, the fat man was so surprised his fat jiggled, connecting all the dots. Could it be that this planet was? This doesn't make sense. With that, he quickly tried to defend himself. My lord's meaning is that this insignificant Azure planet is the home planet of that immortal Count? How is that possible? This planet has never even produced a 10th level being. How could an immortal level genius be born here? He stated that Luo Feng and the others must have made a mistake somewhere. Look up. The White Sparrow Flower Count family, the Gardener Starry Sky Demon Lion Count family, the Odd Count family, all the famous families are here. I alone might be mistaken, but with so many people coming for you, are you trying to say they are all mistaken too? Looking at the sky filled with warships, the fat man felt a despair he had never felt before in his life. He cowed out and begged for mercy, realizing he had kicked a steel plate this time. Just what kind of earth-shattering figure was this so-called immortal Count? He trembled and cowed out, begging for mercy. Just then, a milky-scented, high-heeled foot stepped on the fat man's head. "So this is the brat who's been skimming profits on the immortal Count's home planet. Huh? Quite bold of you." Luo Feng told the woman beside him not to crush him to death yet. They should first take him down for a harsh interrogation to see if he had done anything else out of line on this planet, so they could have something to report when the immortal Count returned. As they spoke, more and more great figures, interstellar counts, descended. Some even felt they should thank this fat man, otherwise, they wouldn't have had the opportunity to curry favor with the immortal Count. Luo Feng agreed. After all, it was an immortal level bloodline. Although his current strength was only at the 9th level, with time, it was highly possible for him to venture beyond the star region, or even the star system. The red-haired woman also agreed. At that time, he might not be the immortal Count, but the immortal Marquis, Duke, or even the immortal King. It's just a pity that this lord isn't from our White Mist Star region, but it's fortunate that Speaker Jing Luopu could connect us. Although the fat man was a little excited to be stepped on, now was not the time to be happy. In his current situation, he could lose his life at any moment. To run into such a 1 in a billion chance, he should have just bought a star lottery ticket instead of joining the resources department. As he thought this, the elegant foot on his head once again slammed his head to the ground. "Kneel properly for me." Meanwhile, on the other side, Lin Jingyue was struggling to get up. Her throat was so damaged she couldn't speak. Seeing this, Luo Feng slowly walked over. He helped the injured Lin Jingyue up, gently comforting her while pulling a bottle of green medicinal liquid from his pants and pouring it on the ground. Lin Jingyue only felt a powerful life force surging before her. The moment the medicinal liquid dripped onto the ground, it was instantly absorbed. The next second, a dense forest grew before Lin Jingyue's shocked eyes. It was hard to imagine that just a small drop of something could instantly bring the entire land to life. No, it's not just the land. She felt her body being healed by a warm power. Luo Feng explained that he didn't have any potions below level 11 on him. Although this Xuanzi potion could heal her injuries, it needed to be diluted 100 million times for Lin Jingyue to consume, so he had to pour it on this land to nourish the planet. Lin Jingyue only needed to be exposed to a tiny bit of the radiation at the center to fully recover. Lin Jingyue bowed to Luo Feng to express her gratitude. A single bottle of potion can evolve the entire Azure planet. This is too valuable. She had only suffered a slight shock to her spirit and would have recovered after a period of rest. This healing potion was probably more expensive than the entire planet, right? And she felt that her strength had greatly improved because of it. Alright, it was clear that it was very great. Remembering the hard days of painstakingly collecting energy crystals in exchange for scraps from the guider, and now, just by basking in the glory of a high-level being, she could become stronger just by standing there. It was truly lamentable. No wonder a 10th level guider was like an ant in their eyes, easily dealt with by the flick of a finger. Thinking of this, Lin Jingyue couldn't help but ask Luo Feng, who is this immortal count they were just talking about? Hearing Luo Feng's answer, Lin Jingyue's hair turned purple with shock. The great figure they were talking about was actually Lu Sheng. Luo Feng stated, Count Lu Sheng possesses the most powerful immortal level transcendent constitution in the history of the White Mist and Yamu star regions, hailed as the #1 genius of our 13-star regions in a million years. Hence he was titled immortal by the Yamu Star Region Federation. Hearing that these great figures were all sent by Lu Sheng, the martial saints of the Azure planet were all dumbfounded. After all, Lord Lu had only been away from the Azure planet for a few months, and in the blink of an eye, he had become a top figure in the starry sky, the #1 genius in a million years, no less. Hearing this, Lin Jingyue was ashamed. She had asked Mrs. Lu before, and she said he was doing SOSO in the cosmos. Goodness, today she had learned what SOSO really meant. Meanwhile, on the other side, Lu Sheng was rushing back to the Azure planet on the White Bird. Lu Sheng also used this time to strengthen and consolidate his cultivation. With a whoosh, Lu Sheng flew out of the spaceship into the starry sky. The next moment, a burst of energy gathered in his fist. With a punch, a hole was instantly torn in the starry sky in front of him, and the open hole immediately collapsed. With just a casual blow, the power was enough to make even the void collapse. It's clearly the same level of martial arts inheritance, so why is it so much stronger than the wind martial art I inherited from Seros last time? Perhaps it was because of the Starfall Fate Disc. During that test, a large surge of power from the starry sky had entered his body, greatly increasing his strength. Lu Sheng could now even sense the Azure planet from light years away. His perception had also been greatly enhanced. My master's 4 extremes path is truly wondrous and infinite. The inheritance he had just obtained had brought his palm techniques to the 5th realm. In his fist, saber, spear, and movement techniques were all approaching the peak of the 5th level. Just then, Lu Sheng took out his phone to contact his wife. He remembered the speaker saying he would handle the matter, and he wondered if it had been resolved. After the video call connected, Dong Qingxue said that the matter on the Azure planet had been resolved, but it had caused quite a stir. Lu Sheng was a little confused. How big of a deal could such a small matter be? Half a day later, Lu Sheng finally arrived in the orbit of the Azure planet. He saw that the Azure planet was currently surrounded by a large number of spaceships. Holy smokes, this commotion can't be described as just big. He didn't know how many helpers the speaker had found. Wasn't it just a deal with a 10th level guider? Was this really necessary? Just then, a voice sounded from ahead, asking if the newcomer was the immortal count. Lu Sheng responded, yes. As soon as he spoke, the spaceships in front of him instantly formed neat formations to welcome Lu Sheng, and they shouted in unison, welcome, immortal count, back to your home planet. Lu Sheng made a grand return to the Azure planet, only to find that it was already teeming with visitors, a scene that stunned him. Upon seeing Lu Sheng, the others began to introduce themselves one by one. Luo Feng from the Black Dragon Mountain family of the White Mist Star region, the Gardener Starry Sky Demon Lion family, the White Sparrow Flower family, and so on. The introductions were so numerous that Lu Sheng's head spun. Just how many people did they call in? Did they send an entire star-destroying fleet? I bet that guider would never have imagined in his wildest dreams that just for skimming a little, he'd have dozens of cannons aimed at him simultaneously. Lu Sheng interrupted everyone's introductions and thanked them for their earlier help. Luo Feng told him not to be so formal. After all, our immortal count is practically one of us from the White Mist Star region. This small matter is not worth mentioning. The red-haired woman also agreed with Luo Feng. Indeed, a federal parasite like him who abuses power for personal gain and deceives his superiors should be punished by everyone, let alone the fact that he foolishly provoked the immortal count's home planet. Even if he had harmed any other planet, we would have done the same without hesitation. Hearing this, Lu Sheng invited everyone, if they didn't mind, to stay for a while so that he could show them his hospitality as a token of his gratitude. Luo Feng bowed and agreed. It just so happens that the 10 billion units of gene optimization solution I ordered for the immortal count's home planet will take some time to arrive. I need to wait until they are delivered and confirmed to be in order before I can leave with peace of mind. Gene optimization solution. This was the first time Lu Sheng had heard of such a thing. The red-haired woman explained that it was a small gift from all of them to Lu Sheng. They had heard that Lu Sheng would soon be relocating to his stellar territory, and his compatriots from his home planet would be the first residents. However, their strength was a bit weak, so they had ordered a large batch of gene optimization solution. Although it wasn't anything extraordinary, it could raise the potential limit of an ordinary person with no martial arts foundation to a theoretical 7th level. With that, Lin Jingyue and the others behind him were shocked. In that case, wouldn't everyone become a 7th level? Luo Feng confirmed this, adding that with the 12th level potion he had used to nourish the land, it wouldn't be long before the Azure planet would usher in an era where everyone was as powerful as a dragon. Awesome! This was awesome! Everyone was ecstatic. They were truly benefiting from this association. Lu Sheng hadn't expected that all ordinary people could directly reach the 7th level. Was this the weight that the words advanced civilization carried? Thinking about it, it was indeed good. This way, his family's lifespan could be extended by several hundred years. Originally, Lu Sheng had planned to slowly transform the Azure planet, but now it had been done in one step. Soon, another young man who looked like Vegeta also spoke up. When the immortal count is infected with his territory in the future, he will surely want to bring his compatriots from his home planet with him, right? Since you'll have to arrange it anyway, I'll gift the immortal count these 1,000 Explorer-class spaceships. Hearing this, Lu Sheng was very surprised. Another generous gift. Although they were only mid to high-end spaceships, they were not something ordinary people could afford, and he was giving away 1,000 of them at once. A fat man also eagerly offered to gift 10 squads of advanced magic silver guards to prevent star pirates. A man with a watermelon haircut, not to be outdone, offered to gift 1 million sets of combat suits. Voices rose one after another, making Lu Sheng's head ache again. The crowd was very enthusiastic, constantly trying to build relationships, which made Lu Sheng a little embarrassed, and he quickly urged everyone to be rational with their spending. In the following days, hundreds of billions, even trillions, of rare resources were continuously transported to the Azure planet. Resources and gifts piled up like mountains. Lu Sheng waved his hand in a gesture of polite refusal, but his heart was blooming with joy. Send them all. It would be best to arm every single person on the Azure planet and boost their cultivation to the 9th level martial saint. That way, I can be at ease even when I'm not on the Azure planet. He could repay these favors 1,000 times over in the future. Lu Sheng hadn't had time to develop the Azure planet before, but now they were a huge help. Watching the cheering crowd, Tan Zhongyu observed quietly. He couldn't help but sigh at how quickly times had changed. Seeing this, Lin Jingyue walked over and asked with concern if his broken saber had been reforged, and also advised him not to compete with Lu Sheng anymore. After all, being defeated by such a figure should be a source of pride. A few days later, on the tranquil sea, Lu Sheng was leisurely sunbathing on a cruise ship. Spaceships flew overhead in waves. After Luo Feng and the others left, a large number of people continued to arrive. Fortunately, Lin Jingyue and the others were there to receive them, otherwise Lu Sheng would have been annoyed to death. Dong Qingxue, who was on vacation with him, came out, and it was clear she had grown up quite a bit. Seeing this, Lu Sheng excitedly walked over for a kiss. He gently lifted Dong Qingxue's cherry-like lips, and an ambiguous sound came from Lu Sheng's mouth. He said he would go into the deep sea again later, and if any strange phenomenon occurred, his wife should not mind him and leave first. With that, his lips fell on Dong Qingxue's, and the excited couple engaged in a French kiss, their tongues intertwining. Lu Sheng frantically savored the strawberry flavor in Dong Qingxue's mouth. The kiss lasted for a full 2.5 hours. Dong Qingxue, out of breath, reluctantly broke away, and at the same time, responded to Lu Sheng's earlier words. After all, if danger struck, staying behind would only be a burden to Lu Sheng. The next moment, Lu Sheng leaped into the sea with a shout. When he returned, Lu Sheng had seen that the future prediction had not changed at all. The Azure planet would still be destroyed in 8 years. Although he no longer had to worry about the safety of the Azure planet, as they could just move, he was still very curious about the existence that could completely destroy it. The calculations in space indicated that the problem originated here. During his previous battle with the Extreme Way Martial Saint, he was seriously injured and fell into a chasm in the abyss. Encountering that indescribable all the exotic beasts blocking his way were swatted away by Lu Sheng with a single slap. Just then, the mutated cell in Lu Sheng's right hand opened its eye. I almost forgot about this little thing. The mutated cell seemed to have a special sense for that thing, which meant it was nearby. In that case, Lu Sheng had to go and see what the connection between the two was. Soon, Lu Sheng arrived at the place where the mutated cell's senses were the strongest, but it was pitch black, with no movement. This isn't right. The surroundings suddenly fell silent, but the mutated cell in his hand was throbbing wildly, as if it wanted to escape Lu Sheng's body. Lu Sheng felt like something was missing. Consciousness fluctuations. Previously, as long as he was in the deep sea, there was always a consciousness fluctuation luring and bewitching him, but now he couldn't sense it at all. Just then, the seabed suddenly became violent, a strange laugh echoed, and a blood-red eye suddenly opened in the darkness. A voice reverberated through the seabed. "I've finally found you again." Lu Sheng was very shocked, seeing a super large mouth open in front of him.